Good morning all. Today we are going to discuss about public key cryptography. So what is the difference between public key and private key cryptography? Okay. So private key cryptography, that is the traditional private secret single key cryptography. That means it is going to use one key. Okay, private or secret or single key cryptography, that is going to use one key. That means a key is shared between the sender and receiver, so that key has to be used for the encryption at the sender and decryption at the receiver. If the key is disclosed, the communications are compromised. So what does it mean? That is, if the key is released, that is by using some brute force attack or some kind of attack on the key, if the key is disclosed, the complete communication can be identified, can be hacked by the other person. So, and this private key cryptography is also called symmetric. Okay, so we have already discussed about symmetric and asymmetric communication, symmetric and asymmetric encryption. So symmetric means the same key has to be used at the sender and the receiver. Asymmetric means there will be different keys. Okay, encryption is a separate key and decryption is a separate key. So here, if you are going for private key cryptography, it doesn't protect sender from receiver forging a message or claiming it sent by the sender. So that means here, whenever anyone is forging the message, okay, then it cannot be identified that what the receiver is doing here. The receiver is forging a message that it is sent by the sender, because the receiver is also having the same key. So that's why there is a problem in this one, even though sender is not sending, and it can be made it as what the sender is sending and the receiver is forging from the sender. So receiver is claiming that it is sent by the sender, but it is not sent by the sender. So this kind of problem you can face in private key cryptography. But to overcome the problem, you can go for public key cryptography. So public key cryptography. So what is the advantage? It is probably most significant advance in the 3000 year history of cryptography. Okay, so it is the most popular one and most advanced cryptography which uses two keys. Okay, so the public key cryptography uses two keys, so that's why it is said to be asymmetric. So these two keys are said to be public and private. So why it is said to be public and private means public key, in the two keys every party will be maintaining two keys which are related. Okay, one key will be publicly available and one key will be private. So public and private keys. The public key, if we are using for encryption, we need to use private key for the decryption. Okay, if we are using private key for the encryption, we need to use public key for the decryption. So in that way, these two are related. So asymmetric parties are not equal. Okay, so that means whatever the sending and receiving, okay, so the same key will not be used. So here, this public key cryptography replaces the private key cryptography with advanced one. Okay, so why we are going for the public key cryptography? So what are the applications? So there are two main applications of public key cryptography. One is key distribution and the second one is digital signatures. Okay, so key distribution means if you want to share a key between the two parties, you can use the public key cryptography. That is, if you want to use the secret key, that is symmetric key, one key encryption. Okay, but the key has to be shared means you can go for the public key. Okay, how the key has to be shared? You can use the public key to distribute the key. So that is the one thing. Okay, or else you can go for the digital signatures for the authentication purpose, because in the private key cryptography the authentication can be forged. okay, by the recipient or any other person claiming that he is the sender. But if you are going for the public key cryptography, it can be what we can avoid by using the distance signatures. Okay, so that is what the two main applications of public key cryptography. And the public key cryptography, so we are using, I already told you, we are using a public key and one private key. So if you are encrypting with the public key, you need to decrypt with the private key. Okay, if you are encrypting with the private key, you need to decrypt with the public key. Okay, so this public key will be known by anybody, okay, because it is publicly available. Private key is available only with the party. Okay, so mainly public key can be used to encrypt the messages. Okay, so if I want to provide the secrecy, I'll encrypt with the public key of the recipient, and he can only decrypt it because it can be decrypted by using private key of the recipient. So that is what, if you go for public key, you can use for the encryption of the messages, and private key, so when you are encrypting with the public key, you can decrypt with the private key. Okay, and private key I can use for the signatures. Okay, that is what digital signatures. So that is how the public key cryptography is used, and I already told you it is asymmetric. Those who encrypt messages or verify signatures cannot decrypt message or create the signatures. Okay, so that is why it is said to be asymmetric. So you can see the diagram here. So how this public key cryptography is used. So you will be having number of public keys available in the record. So this public keys, if I want to send to the person privately, okay, so Bob wants to send to Alice, like he has to use the public key of the Alice for encrypting the message, and that ciphertext will be transmitted, and that here when it reaches to the Alice will use what, its own private key for the decryption. Okay, what he is doing, using the Alice public key, so the recipient's public key he is using for the encryption, so that he only can decrypt. So that is how the encryption can be provided. Okay, so what are the main characteristics? So it is computationally infeasible to find decryption key knowing only algorithm and the encryption key. If you know the encryption key also, because publicly available encryption key, but still you cannot easily identify, it is infeasible, not feasible to find the decryption key. Okay, so it is computationally easy to encrypt or decrypt the messages. Okay, it is computationally infeasible to find the decryption key, but computationally easy to encrypt or decrypt. Okay, either one of the two related keys can be used for encryption with other used for the decryption. As I told you, if you are encrypting with the public key, need to decrypt with the private key. If you are encrypting with the private key, need to decrypt with the public key. Okay, now you can see here, so where this diagram is representing if you want to provide both encryption and authentication. Okay, what is meant by authentication? That is only the sender is sending. So I am going to have the guarantee that this message is sent by only the appropriate sender. Okay, and it is reaching to the destination, only the destination can decrypt it. So what I need to do to provide authentication as well as the secrecy, what I am going to do, if I am using the private key of the sender source, okay, PR means private key, so private key of the sender, then it is going to provide the authentication, and it can be checked by decrypting with the public key of the sender. Okay, similarly when you are going for the secrecy, so secrecy, how it will be provided, public key of the recipient must be used for the encryption, okay, and private key of the recipient can be used for the decryption. So here two encryption algorithms, two decryption algorithms, one encryption decryption for the authentication and another encryption decryption for the secrecy. Okay, so this is how the public key crypto systems will work. Okay, so we can classify the users into three categories: encryption, decryption you can perform, digital signatures you can perform, key exchange. Okay, now, so what is the security you are going to provide in the public key? Okay, like private key schemes, brute force exhaustive search attack is always theoretically possible. Okay, so here public key cryptography uses two large key and very here we are going to use more than 512 bits of key, so it is not easily possible to perform brute force attack when you go for the public key. Okay, so security relies on large enough difference difficult between easy and hard problems. Okay, so when you are going for the encryption and decryption and cryptanalysis, the large enough difference between these two, okay, the private and public keys, so that will be giving more security. Okay, more generally the hard problem is cryptanalysis. Okay, is known, but it is made hard enough to be impractical to break. Okay, so in the public cryptography it is very difficult to perform this cryptanalysis. Okay, cryptanalysis, what it is doing, it is trying to identify the key. So as we are having the two keys, one is private and another is public. Okay, and these two we are going to take large enough difference, and it is not easy to identify. Even though if you know the decryption key, you cannot if you know the encryption key, you cannot identify the decryption key. So that is why this is what cryptanalysis is very hard. Okay, but encryption decryption is what very easy, right? So it requires the use of very large numbers. Okay, we are going to use the large numbers so that to avoid the brute force attack. Okay, and as we are taking these very large numbers, and also we are going for two different keys, it may be slow compared to private key schemes. Okay, where private key is using a single key, here we are using two keys. Okay, so one first algorithm, that is RSA algorithm in the public key cryptography. So that is given by Rivest, Shamir and Adelman of MIT in 1977. Okay, it was proposed by three scientists, Rivest, Shamir and Adelman of MIT. Okay, so this is best known widely used public key scheme. So we are going to use this RSA algorithm, and we'll show you how it will work. And it is going to use large integers, more than 1024 bits. Okay, and it takes the operation is very simple. Okay, but cryptanalysis is difficult. So how it will be, I'll show you. Okay, so first RSA, how it is going to perform. So first it is going to set up the keys. Okay, key setup means we need to determine the public and private key pair. Okay, so for this, in RSA algorithm, it starts with choosing a random P and Q, two large prime numbers. Okay, large primes P and Q will be chosen, and these to be chosen, and we are going to compute n is equals to what, P into Q. Okay, we are going to compute P multiplied by Q, and then we are going to compute this phi of n. So phi of n, how it will be computed? So P minus 1 into Q minus 1. So what are the steps? These steps are very important. So how the key is generated, keys, public and private keys are generated in RSA is, first choose two large prime numbers. Okay, so P and Q, two large prime numbers we have to choose. Then we need to compute n is equals to P into Q. Okay, like for example, prime numbers, two prime numbers, if I am taking 7 and 11. Okay, generally it will be what, large prime numbers. I am taking a simple example with 7 and 11. If I am taking 7 and 11, n is equals to what, 7 into 11, that is what, 77. Okay, but if you go for phi of n, so P minus 1, 7 minus 1 is 6 and 11 minus 1 is 10. So phi of n is equals to 60. Okay, so phi of n is nothing but P minus 1 multiplied by Q minus 1. So after that we need to select one encryption key that we are going to take it as E. So that is also a number. Okay, So how we are going to select this E? When you perform E and phi of n. So phi of n we are calculating. So the GCD of E and phi of n should be equals to 1 in such a way that we have to select E. Okay, so that will be acting as encryption key, and also the decryption key, how we have to select? When you perform E multiplied by D equals to 1 mod phi of n, that is in modulus phi of n, so that E and D must be multiplicative inverse. That is, when you multiply E into D, then you should get 1 mod phi of n, that is ED mod phi of n should be equals to 1. Okay, I am multiplying E into D, okay, and performing phi of mod phi of n, then the resultant should be equals to 1 in such a way that the D has to be selected. Okay, so then we need to take the public key as E comma n. Okay, so E comma n and private key as D comma n. Okay, so that is how public and private keys are generated. And then how do we encrypt? Okay, so for the encryption we need to use the public key, right? So this ciphertext C will M, if I am taking as a message, ciphertext C can be calculated as M power E mod n. Okay, we are performing M power E mod n and decryption through what? Private key. So C is the ciphertext, C power D mod n, so that will be generating M. So this can be understood easily if I am taking what? An example. Okay, let us take the prime numbers, the large prime numbers as 17 and 11. Okay, P is equals to 17 and Q is equals to 11. So what is the next step? We need to compute N. N is equals to what? P into Q. So 17 into 11 equals to 187. Okay, then next step we need to perform what? Phi of n. So phi of n is what? P minus 1 multiplied by Q minus 1. So that is 16 into 10. So P minus 1, 17 minus 1, 16 minus 1, that is 10. So that is totally 16 into 10 is equals to 160. Okay, then we need to select E such that E comma phi of n. What is phi of n? 160. So E and 160 should be equals to 1. So here I am directly writing. So in that way, if you select E is equals to 7, so 7 GCD of 7 into 1, 7 and 160 is equals to 1. So I am choosing what? E is equals to 7. Okay, so E is 7 means D into E or E into D equals to 1 mod 160. That is, when I multiply E with D, it should be equals to 1. Okay, in the range of mod 160. So the value will be what? It is 23. Okay, so this 23 into 7 is 161. So 161 mod 160 is equals to 1. So that's why I have taken what? 23. Okay, so this D has to be selected. Now what is the private key? Public key. Public key is what? E comma n. E is what? 7. E is 7 and n is 187. Okay, similarly private key is what? 23. D comma n. So D is what? 23 and n is 187. Okay, now how we are performing the encryption? So let us take message is what? 88. Okay, so this always do remember M should be less than the n value. So 88 is less than n value. Okay, so M is equals to 88. Encryption. Performing encryption, C is equals to M power E mod n. M power M is what? 88 and power E is what? 7 mod n. Mod n is what? 187. Okay, so you'll be getting 11. Now 11 is what? Ciphertext. And to perform decryption, so what is it? C power D. C is what? 11. D is 23. Mod n. N is 187. So you'll be getting 88. So this can be used as encryption and decryption keys. Okay, so this is how the encryption and decryption will be performed in RSA algorithm. Now here the same operation how I have told you, so the same is repeated. And what is the security? So here RSA security is possible approaches to attacking RSA. Brute force key search is infeasible, okay, because we are taking large numbers, it is infeasible to identify. Mathematical attacks will be difficult because phi of n computation is very difficult. How we are calculating phi of n? So phi of n is equals to p minus 1 into q minus 1, okay, even though we know n, but it is very difficult to identify phi of n. So timing attacks, okay, timing attacks on the running of decryption, so that is also difficult. Chosen ciphertext attacks, this will be what attack on the cipher RSA algorithm. So maximum RSA algorithms are affected by this chosen ciphertext attack. Try to choose a ciphertext and try to identify the key, okay. So here you can see some mathematical attack how it will be performing. So you have to factor n into p into q, okay, like if you know n, so it should be what, multiplication of two prime numbers, okay. So two prime numbers p comma q, then you can compute phi of n. If you know phi of n, then it is easy to compute d, okay. Or else you try to identify phi of n directly and compute d, okay, or else find d directly, that is like what, identifying with the different possible d values, okay. So here so currently believe all equivalent to factoring, okay. So have some slow improvements over the years. So here these mathematical attacks are what, slowly improving, okay. So the biggest improvement comes from improved algorithms. So GHFS to LS, so this is what the algorithm where the mathematical attacks are possible. They are trying, the slowly improvement is going on to identify the secret keys, okay, right. And now timing attack. So how the timing attack will be done? So that is how much of time it is taking to perform. Like it will be, the time will be varying from small number multiplication to large number. Like if I am taking 7 and 11, two prime numbers, so it will be computed very easily, very fast, okay. But if I am taking large prime numbers, okay, so in hundreds or thousands, if I am taking a bigger prime numbers, it will be taking more time in the computation. So this timing attack will be performing on how much time it is taking to compute, okay. So that is called timing attack. So if it is taking smaller numbers, then it will be easily broken, okay. If it is taking larger numbers, it will take more amount of time, so it will be more difficult to break also. So the time difference between computations of small numbers and the bigger numbers, that can be used to identify the prime numbers in RSA. So that attack is said to be timing attack. So to overcome the timing attack, we have three different countermeasures. One is use constant exponential time, okay. That is how, even though if it is smaller prime numbers or bigger prime numbers, so we need to take what, some padding kind of things to perform the multiplication in the same amount of time, okay. So if I am taking small prime numbers, it should be same amount of time for the computation, and if it is large prime numbers also, it should take same amount of time. So that is what constant exponentiation time we need to use, or else we have to use random delays, okay. So delays you need to increase, right. And blind values used in the calculations, you can use some blind values in the calculations to overcome this timing problem, okay. So these are the three countermeasures. And main attack on the RSA is chosen ciphertext attack, where the attacker chooses a ciphertext and gets the decrypted plaintext back, okay. So first it is choosing that ciphertext and trying to get the decrypted plaintext back, and by applying these, it may be identifying the decryption key, okay. So to overcome this, OASP is proposed, that is optimal asymmetric encryption padding algorithm. So that is not included in your syllabus, okay. So this is what regarding RSA algorithm, Okay, so that is about public key cryptography, RSA algorithm. And there is one more use of public key cryptography, so that is key management, key distribution. Okay, so RSA algorithm we are using for what? Encryption and decryption process. Okay, so and mainly one more application of public key cryptography is what? Key distribution. So how we are going to distribute the key? Okay, so public, that is a secret key must be generated at the both the ends, sender and the receiver, right? So sender and the receiver should share a common key, okay, to perform the further encryption and decryption. For the distribution of that secret key, we can go for this public key cryptography. And in this one we have different ways of distribution of public keys: public announcements, okay, or else publicly available directory, public key authority, public key certificates. How we are going to distribute the public keys? Okay, so first we need to distribute the public key, so that further you can go for what? Key exchange, right? So public keys, how we are going to distribute? Public announcements, that is announce publicly, or else you maintain it directly. From there every recipient can get the public keys of other recipients. Okay, so public key authority, you maintain one authority that is distributing the public keys, or else use the certificates. Okay, just like public certificates. Okay, public announcements, use distributed public keys to recipients or broadcast to community at large. I already told you, right? We are going to announce publicly, okay, or maintain a directory, right? A trusted parties, they have to maintain the directory with the who are the recipients and who are the what are the public keys, but it is vulnerable to tampering or forgery. Whoever wants to use the directory, they can tamper the directory. So that is what problematic in this one. Public key authority, so one authority will be maintaining all these public keys, okay, or else you can go for, see here, public key authority, it is going to maintain the public keys, it is going to distribute the public keys, right? And public key certificates, so that is signed certificate is what? The signed authority. One certificate authority will be signing on the public keys, and they can use for distribution. Like for example, A is there, it is going to send its public key to the certificate authority, and it will verify and it will sign on it, and it can show its certificate to be that this is my public key. Similarly, B also can share its certificate that this is my public key. So in this way the certificate authority can be used. Okay, and public key distribution, public key can be used to distribute the secret key. Okay, one secret key that is needed for the further encryption and decryption process, you can use the public key for exchanging that key. Why we are going for this type of process is, we already told you public key algorithms are slow, private key encryption is fast. Okay, so to overcome this, public key we are using to distribute the key, because if I am using the public key for the encryption and decryption, it is becoming slow. Okay, if I am using the private key, the distribution of the private key is difficult. So we go for public key algorithm for the distribution and private key for encryption and decryption. Okay, so for this we are going for secret key distribution using the public key cryptography. Okay, now so I'll show you this this process. Like A is what? Initiating, it is sending what? Its public key. Okay, see here, so public key is encrypted. A is it is sending what? Its identity encrypted with the public key of the recipient. So that means only recipient can receive, and N1 is the some nonce, along with some nonce it is sending, and D is giving the acknowledgement. Okay, and that is encrypted with the public key of A. That means only A can decrypt this message. Okay, so only B can receive this message, only A can receive this message, right? And next step, what it is doing, it is sending some nonce with public key of B again. Okay, B has given its identity, A has given its identity, that they are coming in what, one agreement. Then A is going to share its key, the secret key, with the private key, public key of the B. Okay, that means only B can get this secret key with B, right? So A and B can share the secret key with the public key of B, right? Only B is what getting its decrypting this message, so it is only going to get the secret key. So this is how this distribution can happen. So in this in this one, hybrid key distribution, so what we are going to do, we are going to perform the public key used to distribute the master keys, we are going to perform, and then find next step, that master key can be used to distribute the secret key. So that can also be happen. The main algorithm in the distribution is Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Okay, so this is all about the previously what I discussed is theoretical. Okay, so where the distribution can happen through the public keys. Now Diffie-Hellman algorithm, it is a public key cryptography that is used mainly for the key exchange, but the key is not shared. Okay, it will be generated at the both the ends. Here previously what happened, in this one we are sharing the key on the network. We are sharing the key on the network using the public key of the recipient. But here what we are doing is, in the Diffie-Hellman key exchange, the secret key is generated at the sender and the receiver. The same key has to be generated using what? This Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Okay, how it is used, how it can be generated, I'll show you. Okay, so here it is going to choose a large prime number, okay, integer or polynomial. So we are going to take that as Q, a large prime number Q, and we are taking a value A that is being primitive root to Q. Okay, we have to select A, which should be what, primitive root to Q. So what is primitive root? Please search it. Okay, primitive root means generally what happens is when you are taking the powers of Q on A, so it will be generating in the order of 1 to Q minus 1 values. Okay, so even though when you are performing powers, so it is going to generate the values. Primitive root means when you are performing the primitive root mod Q. Okay, so when you are performing A powers, okay, in the mod Q values, it will generate the values from 1 to Q. Clear? So in that way, the primitive root we are going to choose as A, right? And what we are going to do, we are going to choose a secret number, so that we are going to take it as A at one center, XA, that should be less than Q, and it is going to compute YA. YA is equals to A power XA mod Q, right? So Q is one large integer, A is the primitive root of Q. So how we are choosing XA? XA should be less than Q, and YA we are computing. So we are selecting a number and we are calculating A power XA mod Q, right? And this YA will be given to the other party. Okay, that will be given to other party B, right? And here what we are doing, A and B, they have to exchange. So key KAB is generated as A power XA XB mod Q. So how it will be generated? So that is nothing but YA we are sharing from A, so YA power XB mod Q. So B can compute this YA power XB, and YB will be shared to what? A, party A. Okay, YB power XA mod Q is also same KAB. Okay, so this A power XA XB mod Q, it can be computed, that is equals to YA power XB mod Q, YB power XA mod Q. Okay, so when you are taking this KAB, so it will be generated at both parties A and B. Okay, and the value will be same. So what it is happening, XA is chosen at A, that is secret. XB is chosen at B, that is secret. YA is computed at A and that is given to B, and YB is computed at B and that is given to A. Okay, and then they are going to calculate KAB. KAB is what? YA power XB. XB mod Q. It will be what? YA from A. Okay, XB is at B. So it will be at what? B. Okay, YB is given by B and XA at A. So YB power XA mod Q. So like this they are going to generate the secret key. So now take a simple example. So Q we are taking as 353 and the primitive root of Q is A, that it is equals to 3. So and then we are choosing XA is equals to 97 and XB is equals to 233. Okay, these are what secrets at A and B, right? And how they are computing the public keys? YA is equals to what? A power XA. So 3 power 97 mod 353, that is equals to 40, and YB 3 power 223 mod 353, that is 258. So YA is given to B and YB is given to A. So KAB is calculated as what? YB power XA mod 253. So that is equals to 160. And similarly YA power XB mod 353. So that is also equals to 160. So the same key is generated at both the ends. So this is how Diffie-Hellman key exchange will work. The same key is generated at the sender and the receiver. Okay, so this is about Diffie-Hellman key exchange, but main problem with the Diffie-Hellman key exchange is man in the middle attack or meet in the middle attack. So with this attack I'll tell you in the next class. Thank you.